Angular, all alone in the browser. Has the URL lost her memory? She is staying the same. In the window, the elements respond to my clicks, and the actions are async. JavaScript, we make single-page web apps. I can smile at the old days with imperative programming. I remember when DOM manipulation was best. Let declarative be the way. Two-way binding seems to be an automagical thing. The model changes and a view just updates, responsive and delightful. Scope watch, I must add to the watch list. I must check model changes, and I mustn't give in. When apply is called, root scope digest is triggered too. Let the watch list fire events. Watchers check for dirty models and fire their listeners if needed. The watch list ends. Another digest cycle is over. Another launches after. Watch me. It's so easy to leave me all alone with my bindings, only going one way. If you watch me, you'll understand what happiness is. Look, a new day has begun.
All right, Judy, thank you so much. That was incredible. All right, well, sorry about the cutoff slides. Note to other speakers, 10 by 7. We didn't get the memo. So we're going to do the best with what we can. That was great. Judy is an AngularJS developer in San Francisco. And we thought it would be great if she came and shared her enthusiastic approach to Angular with everyone here. And it was as good as we hoped, I think. So, by the way, I'm Brad Green, and I manage the Angular team at Google.
And I'm Igor Minar. I'm the tech lead on AngularJS. Judy is a perfect example of one of our community members who have contributed in a very special way to make our ecosystem better. We'll come back to our community in a bit, but let's take care of a few things first. So all of the slides that we use in the presentations today, they'll be published online. So if you miss something, don't worry. You'll be able to come back to links and resources a little bit later.
Yeah, one other thing to mention is that we're not going to do Q&A up here. It's really hard to get to the level of detail to answer important questions. So just grab us between breaks, at lunch, or out on the interwebs. And on the end of the second day, there's a session specifically dedicated to answering all the questions in Q&A.
Brad, look at all these good people who showed up to talk about a favorite thing.
French food.
No, Angular.
Angular, right. Right. Yeah, thanks for that. So we should probably talk a little bit about how Angular is doing. And I think it's pretty easy to see the momentum behind Angular out on the internet, but maybe not as easy to understand what's going on back at Google.
Luckily, we have some amazing developers in our developer infrastructure team, and they track these things. So this is a graph of unique AngularJS developers who are building Google applications, and this is their weekly contribution, so unique developers that use Angular every week.
Yeah, so you can see we're gaining momentum back at home.
And last time I checked, there were over 1,600 Angular apps checked into the internal Google repository.
There's a 1 off the screen there. 600 would be great, too. We'd be happy with that. All right. So that's how we're doing at Google. Let's take a little bit of a look at some of the momentum outside. And if you go, you guys have probably seen this graph, but if you go to trends.google.org, and you type in AngularJS, you get this graph. And let me blow it up a little bit here.
You need to scroll a little bit because it's cut off.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't look at this graph very often, but every time I do, I'm really amazed about how quickly Angular is growing.
Hey, you remember this inflection point right before 2013?
Yeah, I think that was Devox in Belgium. It was really the place where Angular took off, and it became this transformative moment for Angular.
So here we are presenting in Europe again. Maybe this graph will go straight up.
Or all the way back?
We'll see. You guys were here. All right. Hey, Igor, what's this little A logo doing in my location bar?
That's my new extension. I call it NG Detector. It tells you when you come to a site that is built with Angular, and it shows the little icon up there.
Oh, cool. OK, so Google Trends is using Angular, apparently version 1.2.
We need to tell them to upgrade.
It's forgiven. 1.3 just came out. It's fine. So let's talk about a couple other products at Google that are using Angular. Let's see, who have we talked to lately?
Well, we mentioned DoubleClick for advertisers quite a bit in the past. But there is a new team in the DoubleClick family called DoubleClick Search.
Well, they're not that new.
Well,
New for us.
They launched a new application
Yes.
with Angular. So they have this new app, and what's interesting about the app?
So these guys, I've actually been around for a while. Their original app was written in the Google Web Toolkit in GWT, and they're migrating to Angular a little bit at a time. So what you're looking at is the top part of this app written in GWT, and the bottom half of the form done in Angular. And we see this quite a lot at Google.
Cool. Another one we know of is Google Fiber.
Yes?
Google Fiber, they launched an application that allows you to manage your cable and internet connection using an Angular app.
Yep, and we also have the Google Developer Console, editing tools, and debugging on cloud.google.com, where you can manage things like App Engine, Cloud SQL, and all of their other products.
Yeah, and we actually host all of the AngularJS.org infrastructure on the Compute Engine. So it's cool to be able to see how we are doing using an Angular app.
OK, cool. So a lot of great Google products using Angular. Let's go look at some products that aren't written by Google that also use Angular. Maybe let's look at just the entertainment industry.
You know what? I heard that Netflix launched in Europe about a month ago, and they're using Angular.
We can go watch some cool movies.
Awesome.
So also HBO. And I think one of the cool things about HBO is they built both their desktop sites and many of their mobile products using Angular.
And if you like Game of Thrones, the second screen experience that they built is also built with Angular, so you can check it out.
Can't wait for the season to start up again. Also, parts of Amazon, where I can manage content on my devices on Kindle and other platforms.
How about we do one more?
OK, so one more super cool one would be maybe outside the entertainment industry, Virgin America. What's different about Virgin is they've built their flight reservation system in a responsive fashion using Angular. And Oliver from the team is going to come up at the end of today and tell us all of the learnings that he had from this.
That's amazing.
So yeah, like ton of fantastic apps all written with Angular. I'm blown away. We can't be that good, can we?
Well, it's not just us. There is this amazing community out there who has helped us build this developer platform that all these apps are built on top of.
Well, it is good to have friends who like to do stuff with us. How many friends would you say we have?
You know what? Just 2 weeks ago, we crossed 1,000 contributors to the AngularJS repository.
Woo.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I'm always amazed at how many folks, some of you guys, who spend their free time contributing to something that's not their day job.
You know, and this is really what made Angular what it is. These guys, they helped us make Angular richer, more complete, and stable than what we would have done if it was just us building Angular.
Totally. So, but Angular is way more than just our core framework, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We probably see as many or even more contributions happening outside of the core repository. There are way too many to mention, but do you have some favorites?
Yeah, maybe you could start us off with some things, maybe some of the most popular ones.
How about UI router? So Nate, Karsten, Tim, and Chris, and 81 other developers, they did this amazing research into the complex needs, navigation needs of big applications, and built UI router. And this UI router actually became the input and the feedback for what we need to do in our next generation routing system in Angular.
What do you think's up with the feet avatars going on there?
You know what? I think Chris and Karsten and Tim, they made this observation that for some weird reason, all of us take headshots and use those as the profile photos. So they decided to set a new trend, and they're taking photos of their feet.
It's a trend of two, but maybe we could join them.
Yeah,
be good.
Sure.
All right. Well, I also like Olaf's ng annotate. That helps me reduce boilerplate in my code and make it safe for minification.
Cool. And there is also Martin's REST Angular, which makes interacting with RESTful backends a piece of cake.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, what I like about all of these contributions is that they're happening outside of the core repository. Like all these guys, they are building their own and expanding their own universe of Angular ecosystem. They have their own contributors and their own followers, and this is really cool.
Yeah. Now, there's also folks who help educate other developers and make them experts in using Angular. Do you have some favorites in this area?
How about we mention John Lindquist and Neged.io?
Yeah. So John has been an extended member of our family for probably the longest. He helped us build the original version of AngularJS.org with a bunch of videos that help explain our examples. And he used those as the start of building Egghead.io that we use today. And some of you probably spent the last 2 days with John getting up to speed.
It's probably somewhere here. I don't know where.
John, you're there.
There.
Oh, there he is.
Hi, John.
Hey, John.
So Brad, what do you think is the most popular Angular video out there?
I think that would have to be Dan Wallin's, I think it's called AngularJS in 60-ish minutes. And I think a lot of folks got their start that way.
Cool. I think we should also credit some of the Google engineers, like Julie, Ralph, who helped us build the Google style guide for building Angular applications.
Yep. And just like our core framework, we've got other good examples of folks who have extended this. So we can look at Todd Motto and John Papa. Both have very complete versions of a style guide for AngularJS.
Well, there are so many others to mention. I don't think we can do it all. But let's mention pluralsight.com. They have really awesome tutorials. There's also end-to-end tutorial from Thinkster.io, and really cool and fun and interactive tutorial from codeschool.com. That comes with a really cool song.
I love that song. Maybe we could play it. Let's see if our audio works here. We've got no audio.
Can we get the audio from the computer?
Do we get a thumbs up from back there? Here, we can go low tech though. I can just lean over on this thing. I could sing it. Yeah. Judy's our pro. Should we skip it and move on?
Just a sec.
Yeah. Yeah. No. All right, we're gonna go old school or low tech here. Let's try this.
Need a store to sell their gems and more. They need it really quick. quick, Angular will do the trick. Directives set the stage in your HTML page. Controllers give your app the behavior that it lacks. Write expressions so that you can add your data to the view. And modules make connections with dependency injections. You're a scripting connoisseur when shaping up with AngularJS.
Well, if you can't tell, we love jingles and theme songs. All right, but what if I wanted to go somewhere and meet some fellow AngularJS developers and maybe sing this song at the end?
The best place I know of is by going to meetup.com and just searching for AngularJS.
Yeah. In fact, I can actually go to a specific URL, angularjs.meetup.com, and I can find a map and a list of all of the meetups that deal with AngularJS. And I'm very impressed. There's something like 233 of these now in cities all over the world, except there's nothing in Iceland. What's up with that?
You know what? I think the volcanoes are keeping those folks busy. But hey, there's an opportunity for somebody to start a new Icelandic Angular meetup.
Yeah, could be, could be. All right, so last I checked, there were something like over 30 books written on Angular.
You said 30, but this is 3 by 6, 18?
I got tired of downloading images.
But you still managed to sneak in 2 of yours in there.
Yeah.
What's up with the fish? Is it any good?
Well, it is a cowfish. Cowfishes are cool, so if you like those, my books are pretty good.
I didn't get that.
All right, okay, moving on. All right, so there are far too many folks for us to thank in person. From people, those of you who write blogs, people who help bring AngularJS into your own companies, and there's a lot of folks who actually help us out on GitHub, helping review issues and triage and all of those good things. We should also thank the good organizers of this conference for putting this on today. So for all of you, we wanted to give you a big thank you for making Angular a great community.
How about we give a round of applause to everybody in the Angular community? Thank you.
All right, so that's all well and good. But what has Angular done for me lately?
Let's go take a look. So just last week, we finally released AngularJS 1.3. And Jeff and Brian are going to come on stage right after us, and they're going to give us more detail about what's in this release. But I think we should stress a few of the key points.
Yeah. So, Igor, if you had to call out one feature of any application that's most important, what do you think that is?
The logo.
Yeah. No, it's performance. People want to know how snappy your application is going to be.
Yes, and performance is actually something we spent a lot of time on. We made the DOM manipulation in Angular much faster. We made the dirt checking algorithm smarter, and we reduced the memory usage by quite a good chunk. So just by upgrading to Angular 1.3, your application will be snappier.
Absolutely. Now, we also spend a lot of time helping to improve the forms APIs. Tell us a little bit about that.
We actually did a complete overhaul of the forms binding and the validation system. So now developers have more flexibility and control when and how validation happens, and also how the errors are reported. We baked in the input debouncing, which makes it easier to build applications that just feel more responsive. And we realized that the error reporting, or the way you show the messages, the error messages to the user, was kind of clunky and pain in the butt. So we reworked it. We have a new module that we call ng messages that makes these tasks much simpler.
Yeah. All right, one more thing to call out. ng aria is a small feature, but we're really proud of it. Just by including this module, you get a base level of default aria attributes. And this helps give assistive devices like screen readers more information that help navigation for things that we take for granted as people who have full vision. With this and some of the work we're doing in material design, we really want to make it much easier for you guys to build websites and mobile apps that are accessible to everyone. So later today, you can hear Marcy here, who's going to talk about how to build fully accessible websites using Angular.
So you mentioned material design. Can you explain what it is?
Yeah. So material design is this new specification for building user interfaces from Google. It includes a bunch of default components, animations, layouts, interactions, and even more.
Material design spec actually spans interfaces for all kinds of devices, from desktop to tablets, mobile, but even applications that run on a watch. The interfaces of these applications are controlled with idioms that work across all of these contexts.
Yeah, let's go take a little look.
Really cool. So when we first saw the concepts for material design, we realized that we needed to be part of this effort. And that's when we decided that we needed to start a project that we now call Angular Material. Angular Material is an implementation of the material design spec in Angular. Brad, can you show us some demos?
Sure. So one of the interesting things about Material is that it has touch feedback built in. When I click on a button, it gives me visual feedback about where I've touched and the element that I've selected.
That's cool. Does the button make some sounds too?
Nope, no sounds here.
Okay. What kind of other widgets and components do we have for building applications?
Well, so we've just gotten started, but we already have a big suite of the basics like checkboxes, lists, and progress bars. And then more complex things complete with animation, like dialog boxes and tabs with lots of bells and whistles.
I really like the forms. The forms are very unique. Like, I haven't seen this kind of UI before. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
So the spec also has very strict guidelines about the layout and spacing in the application. And we implemented this in a CSS grid system that is based on Flexbox and adapts very easily to viewports of different sizes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm really excited about applications you guys will build with Material. Later today, Thomas Burleson and Max are going to come up and give a full talk. They built most of the core components in Angular Material, and you can learn about it then.
So as you can see, Material is really designed with a mobile-first attitude. And if you're like me, you probably noticed that we use these devices a lot more than what we used to.
Yeah, so the momentum behind mobile development is growing every day. And if you don't do mobile development now, you probably will in the near future. So Igor, do you think Angular can help here?
You know, this is interesting because when we designed the current generation of Angular, we didn't really think much about optimizations that we could do for mobile applications. But fortunately, we haven't done anything that would prevent people from building mobile apps. And many people did.
Yeah, so this is another great example where folks in the ecosystem have stepped up to fill in gaps and make the ecosystem richer.
Our friends at Drifty have built an Ionic framework. This is a framework that allows you to build awesome-looking applications that are themable.
Yep. So, and they've baked in performance by default with hardware-accelerated views, and they've got some really seamless integration with Cordova for deployment using their command line interface.
And Andrew Jostling from the team is going to come, and he's going to give a talk about this, I think, later this afternoon.
Yeah.
We also have another talk on Famous by Zach Brown, scheduled for tomorrow. Brad, what is famous in 3,000 words or less?
Well, so the cool thing about Famous is that they've got this hardware-accelerated 3D view system that allows you to make apps and games that look realistic and feel natural.
You know, I saw demos that looked really cool, but for me personally, the most interesting thing is how they integrated Famous and Angular together so that you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, Zach and team's done a great job. All right, so we spent some time talking about how Angular 1.3 is the best Angular yet. We talked about how material design gives us a base for building responsive applications, and then specifically on mobile, how our partners Ionic and Famous are helping make this possible. Earlier this year, we announced that we were going to build a brand new version of Angular, starting from the ground up. And now that 1.3 is out the door, we're going to shift the focus of the team to make 2.0 our main goal.
So what's new in Angular 2?
Well, we're going to keep a lot of the parts that you know and love. The things that we would consider to be the soul of Angular are still going to be there in Angular 2.
I remember in 2013, it was you and Mishko who gave a presentation at Google I/O about the design principles behind AngularJS. Are we going to keep those parts?
No. No, yes, that part we're keeping. So these design principles you'll see in Angular 2, where we're going to continue to try to even do a better job of reducing boilerplates, giving you default structure to get you going, and making sure testability is in there at the core. All of these are going to be part of Angular 2. They're also going to be supported by some of the features you know and love. Though we've completely rethought all of these, things like dependency injection, data binding, directives, and all of the things that don't start with D will be in there. Not all. We'll see some more tomorrow.
So if you followed us online and looked at our meeting notes, you probably noticed that we've done a ton of research. We spent a lot of time in ThoughtSpace writing design docs and arguing endlessly about the new templating syntax.
Yes. So we have not only just done designs, we actually implemented a bunch of these designs as prototypes for Angular 2. So we've done the dependency injection, the dirty checking, the templating, expressions, and a lot more to give us a good idea of how this is going to perform in Angular 2.
But not only did we build prototypes, we actually took some of these ideas and implemented them into a fully fledged version of Angular, which we shipped as Angular Dart.
Yeah, so Angular Dart's not just a port of AngularJS to Dart. It actually represents a lot of the latest thinking that we have on the team that is going to be seen in the new concepts in Angular 2.
I think the mission to build Angular Dart was very valuable for us because it allowed us to prove the effectiveness of many of these new ideas with teams at Google. And actually, the Google Fiber app and double-click search apps that we showed you at the beginning, they were built with Angular Dart.
Absolutely. So now that we've done all this research, we've actually proven a lot of the concepts on some big teams at Google. It's time for us to bring these concepts and many more to a bigger audience on JavaScript.
Okay, that's cool. So we're keeping the soul of Angular, but since we are building the new Angular, we want to build it so that it's better than the current one, so that you are not afraid to leave the old one behind. That means that we need to bring some innovative thinking and also, as we say at Google, do things that make us uncomfortably excited. What are these new ingredients in Angular 2?
Okay, well, there's actually a lot of them, but we're going to focus on just 3 big sections today. We're going to talk about mobile, we'll talk about performance, and scale. And so on mobile, the first place we'll start is, as with Angular 1.3, we're going to port material design. And this will ship with 2.0 as a great starting place to make polished-looking, responsive applications.
So we also mentioned that we are rethinking the router. We want to make it so that it can scale from scenarios specific for mobile applications all the way to enterprise-grade applications. We're going to have a session by Rob Eisenberg. I think it's later today. So you're going to see some pretty cool demos.
Yeah. Animation and touch, when put together, are what really makes mobile apps shine. And yet, it's actually really hard to do as developers today. So we're going to make that easy.
You know, Brad, it really annoys me when I interact with a mobile app. And I can tell that it's a mobile web app just because the scrolling doesn't feel right.
Yeah, that's right.
I think this is one of those things that we should attack.
We should. So we've got that in mind, along with a bunch of mobile-specific performance improvements that we've got cooking in the lab that we're going to pull together. And our eventual goal is that you're not able to tell the difference between a native app and one written for using web as a hybrid app. All right, so though we're baking mobile into Angular at the core, it's not at the expense of our partners like Ionic and Famous. We're going to work closely with them and others to make sure that Angular works even better as the base for these higher level frameworks.
We talked about performance quite a bit, especially in the context of 1.3. But for me, even though we did many improvements in 1.3, the biggest thing that we realized and came across were all these things, how we can make Angular even faster. We found things that we were not able to implement in 1.3 because they would cause major breaking changes. But we're keeping these things in mind when we are designing Angular 2.
Yeah, that's right. So all of these learnings came from working with teams like yours and a lot of the big apps inside Google. And all of this knowledge is helping to inform the architectural decisions we're making on Angular 2.
So we're just going to continue reducing the garbage pressure and the memory usage in our applications. We're going to optimize more the DOM manipulation that we do. But in addition to all these internal things, we also want to provide you with tools that will help you analyze the performance of your application, find bottlenecks, and discover what you can do about these things and improve the performance of your application.
Okay, so let's see. So we've got mobile and performance. What's the last one?
Scale.
Right. Okay, so go ahead.
So we showed you earlier that at Google, there are more and more engineers using Angular to build applications. And increasingly, these applications are becoming bigger and more complex. But they are also being built by teams that are larger. So we see that there is an opportunity to help solve this scale issue. And we have some really cool ideas about how we can do it without sacrificing the ease of use and simplicity that made Angular popular.
Yeah, so we're going to start by improving the templating system to enable IDEs to provide better autocompletion and navigation of your code. This is also going to mean that validation and linting can find errors and typos automatically.
Even in templates. Which is
Even
really
in
cool.
templates, yeah.
Earlier this year, we talked about how we want to build Angular 2 on top of ECMAScript 6, but not only ECMAScript 6, but we also want to extend the language with optional type system that would allow us to express type and metadata information that we can't right now. We since then built these language extensions and have been using them, and we really like them. We truly believe that using optional type system for these large applications will make things easier because it will allow you to express the API contracts better, and then that will help collaboration in large teams.
Yeah. So we are actually going to spend a long time on this tomorrow. Mishka is going to come up tomorrow morning and give you all the details about how we've envisioned the system and the thing we've built. So along with helping for the developer story in terms of IDEs and working on large teams, these types can help us build documentation. So we're going to ship with a number of documentation tools. As a matter of fact, Pete is going to come up later this afternoon and show us what it's going to look like.
Awesome. So we started this presentation by showing our gratitude to the Angular community. It is really the community that made Angular what it is today. And I would like to encourage you to stay awesome. Help us make Angular 2 really cool and take the most out of this conference.
Okay, so here's the to-do for you guys. We want to keep the party going. So this probably means stepping out of your comfort zone a bit. Talk to people you don't know. Go find things to hack on together, exchange ideas, and find reasons to collaborate.
Angular, being part of the Angular ecosystem means being a contributor. Through contribution, you learn new things, you meet new people, and then in a very real way, you become a little bit bigger. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the conference.